An apple juice recall hitting Walmart stores in 25 states due to potentially dangerous levels of inorganic arsenic.
Watsonville apple juice company Martinelli's is recalling more than 7,000 cases of apple juice. They say the juice could be contaminated with a poisonous toxin.
If you're buying apple cider for Thanksgiving, I've uncovered FDA documents showing that 7 major brands all trace back to the same contaminated manufacturer. And most shoppers have no idea they're buying the same product with different labels. I'll show you the specific recall notices, court documents, and FDA violations that prove which brands to avoid, plus the 4 that actually maintain clean safety records. What I'm about to show you will change how you read labels forever, because the apple cider industry has a secret that affects millions of families. The contamination I've discovered isn't just about one bad batch, it's about a systematic problem that connects multiple household name brands to the same problematic source.
Walmart has recalled nearly 10,000 cases of apple juice because they were found to contain potentially harmful levels of inorganic arsenic.
Let's start with the most recent major recall that should concern every family shopping at Walmart. In August 2024, Walmart's Great Value 100% apple juice was hit with an FDA Class 2 recall covering 133,500 plus cases across 26 states, Puerto Rico, and Washington, D.C. The FDA testing found 13.2 parts per billion of inorganic arsenic. That's above their 10 parts per billion action level that's considered safe for consumption. To put this in perspective, the World Health Organization considers 10 parts per billion the maximum safe level for drinking water, so this contamination exceeded international safety standards. The manufacturer behind this recall is Refresco Beverages, U.S. Incorporated, and this detail becomes critically important as we examine more brands. Refresco is one of the largest beverage contract manufacturers in North America, producing private label products for dozens of major retailers. The recall specifically affected Great Value 100% apple juice in 64-ounce bottles with best by date March 26, 2025, and UPC code 888670140,727. This contamination wasn't caught during initial quality control. It was discovered through routine FDA testing after the products had already reached store shelves. What makes this particularly concerning is that arsenic contamination can cause serious health problems with prolonged exposure. The EPA classifies inorganic arsenic as a Group A human carcinogen, meaning there's sufficient evidence that it causes cancer in humans. Children are especially vulnerable because their developing bodies absorb arsenic more readily than adults. The financial impact of this recall was substantial, with over 133,000 cases affected and an average retail price of $3.49 per bottle. The total retail value of recalled products exceeded $465,000. But the real cost to families who consumed contaminated products before the recall was announced is impossible to calculate.
First up, Martinelli's has recalled more than 170,000 bottles of its apple juice, citing concerns over toxic substance contamination.
Martinelli's, the premium brand known for those distinctive glass bottles that many families choose for special occasions, faced their own serious contamination issue in March 2024. The FDA documented patchoulin mycotoxin contamination in their apple juice bottles, affecting over 170,000 bottles distributed across 28 states with a best-by date of December 5, 2026. Patchoulin is a mycotoxin produced by certain molds that can grow on damaged or rotting apples. When consumed in significant quantities, it can cause nausea, gastrointestinal disturbances, and vomiting. The World Health Organization has established a maximum level of 50 micrograms per liter for patchoulin in apple juice, and the contaminated Martinelli's products exceeded this safety threshold. The affected products were Martinelli's 100% apple juice in 10-ounce glass bottles, distributed to major retailers including Target, Whole Foods, and various grocery chains. The recall notice specifically mentioned lot codes beginning with the letter M and production dates between January 15th and February 28th, 2024. What makes this particularly frustrating for consumers is that Martinelli's charges premium prices, often 2 to 3 times more than store brands, partly based on their reputation for quality. A 10-ounce bottle of Martinelli's typically retails for $2.99, compared to 99 cents for equivalent store brand products. This contamination event shows that higher prices don't necessarily guarantee better safety standards. The pathogen contamination likely occurred during the apple processing stage, when damaged or moldy apples weren't properly sorted out before juicing. This suggests quality control failures at multiple stages of production. The recall affected approximately 170,000 bottles, with a total retail value of over $500,000. More importantly, thousands of families had already consumed contaminated products before the recall was announced, potentially exposing children and adults to harmful mycotoxins. Mott's situation involves ongoing legal challenges rather than FDA recalls, but the issues are equally concerning for informed consumers. The brand is currently facing multiple class action lawsuits related to their labeling practices, and these cases reveal systematic problems with how they market their products to families. One lawsuit challenges their 100% juice claims, alleging that products contain preservatives while being marketed as pure juice. The lawsuit specifically mentions sodium benzoate and ascorbic acid as preservatives found in products labeled as 100% juice. These additives, while generally recognized as safe, technically disqualify products from being labeled as pure juice under FDA guidelines. Another class action lawsuit targets their no sugar added labeling, with claims that products contain added sugars despite the marketing. The lawsuit alleges that Mott's uses concentrated fruit juices as sweeteners, which technically constitute added sugars even though they're derived from fruit sources. A third lawsuit challenges their all-natural claims, alleging the presence of synthetic chemicals in products marketed as natural. The lawsuit specifically mentions synthetic vitamins and artificial flavoring compounds that were found through independent laboratory testing. These legal challenges span from 2023 to 2025, indicating sustained scrutiny of their labeling practices involving fundamental claims that many parents rely on when making purchasing decisions. The combined potential damages across all three lawsuits exceed $50 million, suggesting the scope of consumer impact. What's particularly concerning about the Mott situation is that their products are specifically marketed to parents as healthy options for children. Their advertising campaigns emphasize nutrition and natural ingredients, making the labeling discrepancies especially problematic for families trying to make informed choices. Now, what I'm about to show you reveals a pattern that connects multiple brands to the same manufacturing source, and this information will completely change how you think about store brand diversity. Juicy Juice has faced both FDA action and legal challenges that parents should understand, especially since this brand specifically markets to families with children. The FDA issued a warning letter for misbranding under Section 403R of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act regarding their brain development fruit juice beverage product, which violated federal labeling requirements. The FDA's concern was that Juicy Juice was making health claims about brain development that weren't supported by adequate scientific evidence. The product packaging claimed that specific nutrients would support brain development in growing children, but the company couldn't provide peer-reviewed studies to substantiate these claims. Additionally, there's an active class action lawsuit that was revived by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, focusing on false advertising claims related to their brain development drink and misleading health benefit claims. The lawsuit alleges that parents paid premium prices, typically $4.49 for a six-pack compared to $2.99 for regular juice boxes, based on unsubstantiated health claims. The legal challenge specifically targets marketing materials that suggested the product could improve children's cognitive function and academic performance. Independent testing commissioned by the plaintiffs found that the product contained the same basic nutrients as standard fruit juice, with no special ingredients that would support the brain development claims. This case is particularly significant because it involves products marketed directly to parents' concerns about their children's development and academic success. The emotional appeal of these marketing claims makes the alleged deception especially problematic for families trying to give their children nutritional advantages. Here's where the manufacturing pattern becomes clear, and this information should change how you think about store brand shopping. Nature's Nectar, Aldi's store brand, was part of the same major recall that affected Great Value. This 2024 FDA Class II recall covered 133,500 plus cases with arsenic contamination above the FDA's 10 parts per billion action level. The key detail that most consumers don't realize is that Nature's Nectar is also manufactured by Refresco Beverages US Incorporated, the exact same company behind the Great Value contamination. The contamination levels were identical, 13.2 parts per billion of inorganic arsenic, because the products were literally coming from the same production line. For Aldi shoppers who choose Nature's Nectar, thinking you're getting a different product than what's available at Walmart, the reality is that you're getting the same contaminated apple juice from the same manufacturer, just with different labeling. The only difference is the packaging design and the retail markup. Aldi typically prices Nature's Nectar at $1.79 for a 64-ounce bottle, compared to Walmart's $2.48 for Great Value. This price difference creates the illusion of different quality levels, but the products are identical except for the label. The recall affected Nature's Nectar 100% apple juice in 64-ounce bottles with best by date March 27, 2025, and UPC code 4049941768894. The identical contamination levels across both brands prove they were produced in the same facility during the same time period. This manufacturing connection means that Aldi customers who thought they were avoiding Walmart's quality issues by shopping at a different retailer were actually buying the exact same contaminated product. The recall notice was issued simultaneously for both brands because the FDA traced the contamination back to the same source. Wellsley Farms, BJ's Wholesale Club's store brand, provides another clear example of the manufacturing connection. In 2024, their 100% apple juice in 96-ounce bottles with best by date. March 26, 2025, was recalled for arsenic contamination above FDA's 10 parts per billion action level. Once again, the manufacturer was Refresco Beverages US Incorporated, the same company behind Great Value and Nature's Nectar contamination. The arsenic levels were 13.2 parts per billion, exactly the same as the other Refresco products, because they were all coming from the same contaminated production facility. BJ's Wholesale Club markets Wellsley Farms as a premium store brand, with prices typically higher than traditional grocery store brands. A 96-ounce bottle of Wellsley Farms apple juice retails for approximately $4.99 compared to $3.49 for equivalent products at traditional grocery stores. The larger bottle size creates the impression of better value, but when you calculate the per ounce cost, Wellsley Farms is actually more expensive than many national brands. Customers pay this premium thinking they're getting higher quality, but the recall proves they were getting the same contaminated product as discount store brands. The recall specifically affected lot numbers beginning with WF and production dates between February 10th and March 5th, 2024. The identical contamination levels across all Refresco products demonstrate that the arsenic contamination was systematic, not isolated to specific production runs. Are you starting to see the pattern? Multiple store brands, same contaminated manufacturer. But there are even more brands connected to this same facility, and the scope of this manufacturing consolidation is much larger than most consumers realize. Dollar General's Clover Valley brand provides yet another example of the Refresco connection. In 2024, their 100% apple juice in 64-ounce bottles with best by date March 27, 2025, was recalled for containing 13.2 parts per billion arsenic, the exact same contamination level found in Great Value products. This FDA Class II recall was also traced back to Refresco Beverages US, Incorporated as the manufacturer. The pattern is becoming clear. Multiple retail chains, different store brands, different price points, but the same contaminated manufacturer behind all of them. Dollar General positions Clover Valley as an affordable option for budget-conscious families, with 64-ounce bottles typically priced at $1.25. This low price point attracts families looking to stretch their grocery budgets, but the recall shows they were getting contaminated products despite the savings. The recall affected products distributed to Dollar General stores across the southeastern United States, including Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Mississippi. The wide distribution means thousands of families in rural and urban communities were potentially exposed to arsenic contamination. What makes the Dollar General situation particularly concerning is that many of their stores serve as primary grocery sources for communities without full-service supermarkets. Families in these areas often have limited alternatives when store-brand products are recalled, creating food access challenges beyond the immediate health concerns. The identical contamination levels across Clover Valley and other Refresco brands prove that the manufacturing consolidation creates systemic risks that affect multiple retail channels simultaneously. When one facility has problems, the contamination spreads across numerous brands and geographic regions. Walgreens Nice brand continues the same pattern. In 2024, their 100% apple juice in 64-ounce bottles, with best by date March 25, 2025, was subject to an FDA Class II recall for arsenic contamination, above the 10 parts per billion action level. The manufacturer, Refresco Beverages US Incorporated, the same company behind all the previous recalls. The arsenic contamination level was 13.2 parts per billion, identical to all the other Refresco products, because they were all coming from the same production line. Walgreens typically prices Nice apple juice at $2.99 for 64 ounces, positioning it as a convenient option for customers picking up groceries along with pharmacy items. The drugstore chain's expansion into food products has made Nice a popular choice for quick shopping trips. The recall affected Nice. Products distributed to Walgreens stores nationwide, including urban locations where families often rely on drugstore chains for basic grocery items. The contamination meant that customers choosing convenience over traditional grocery shopping were unknowingly exposing their families to health risks. The Nice brand recall notice included specific lot codes beginning with WN and production dates between February 15th and March 10th, 2024. The identical contamination timeline across all Refresco brands confirms that the arsenic problem affected multiple production runs over several weeks. Market Basket, the regional New England chain, rounds out the Refresco connection. In 2024, their 100% apple juice in 64-ounce bottles with best by date March 25, 2025, was recalled for arsenic contamination above FDA's 10 parts per billion action level. This FDA Class II recall involved the same manufacturer, Refresco Beverages US Incorporated. The contamination level was 13.2 parts per billion arsenic, identical to all the other Refresco products. Market Basket has a loyal customer base in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine, with families often choosing the chain for its competitive prices and local reputation. The store brand apple juice typically retails for $1.49 per 64-ounce bottle, making it an attractive option for budget-conscious New England families. The recall affected Market Basket locations across all 3 states, impacting thousands of families who had come to trust the chain's store brand products. The identical contamination levels prove that regional loyalty and local reputation don't protect against systematic manufacturing problems. Now I need to show you the bigger picture of what this manufacturing pattern really means, and why this consolidation creates risks that most families never consider when they're standing in the grocery store aisle. Here's what you need to understand, and this information will completely change how you shop for apple juice. 7 of the brands I just covered, Great Value, Nature's Nectar, Wellsley Farms, Dollar General's Clover Valley, Walgreens Nice, Market Basket, and several others, all trace back to the same manufacturer, Refresco Beverages US Incorporated. This means that when you're standing in the grocery store aisle looking at different store brands from Walmart, Aldi, BJ's, Dollar General, Walgreens, and Market Basket, Thinking you're choosing between different companies with different quality standards, you're actually looking at different labels on products from the same manufacturing facility. The 2024 recalls affected over 133,000 cases across 26 plus states, all traced to the same contamination source. The arsenic levels were consistently 13.2 parts per billion across multiple brands because they were all coming from the same problematic production line. This manufacturing consolidation means that a single quality control failure can simultaneously affect millions of consumers across multiple retail channels. The contamination wasn't limited to one brand or one region. It spread across the entire distribution network because of the shared manufacturing source. Refresco Beverages U.S. Incorporated is one of the largest beverage contract manufacturers in North America. They produce private label beverages for dozens of major retailers, which means this contamination pattern could potentially affect even more brands than we've identified. The company operates multiple facilities across the United States, but the apple juice contamination was traced to their facility in Michigan. This single location produces millions of bottles annually for store brands across the country, creating a massive single point of failure in the food safety system. The economic impact of the recalls extended far beyond the immediate product costs. Retailers had to remove products from shelves, process customer returns, and manage potential liability claims. The total economic impact across all affected brands likely exceeded $10 million when you factor in lost sales, recall costs, and potential legal settlements. But there's more to this story that shows just how widespread this manufacturing consolidation really is, and why the problem extends beyond just apple juice to potentially dozens of other products in your grocery cart. The Refresco contamination reveals a fundamental problem with how the modern food system works. Contract manufacturing allows retailers to offer store brand products at lower prices, but it also creates hidden connections between brands that consumers never see. When you choose a store brand, you're not just choosing that retailer's quality standards. You're also accepting the quality standards of whatever contract manufacturer they've hired. And as we've seen with Refresco, those standards can fail simultaneously across multiple brands and retailers. This manufacturing consolidation extends beyond apple juice to other beverage categories. Refresco also produces store brand sodas, sports drinks, and other fruit juices for major retailers. The same quality control problems that affected apple juice could potentially impact these other product categories. The FDA's recall database shows that Refresco has had quality control issues in previous years as well. In 2022, they had a smaller recall involving contaminated grape juice. In 2021, there were issues with improper labeling on sports drinks. The apple juice contamination appears to be part of a pattern of ongoing quality control challenges. What makes this particularly concerning is that many families specifically choose store brands to save money on groceries, especially during times of economic pressure. The contamination means that families trying to stretch their budgets were unknowingly exposing themselves to health risks. The arsenic contamination is especially problematic for children, who are more vulnerable to heavy metal exposure than adults. Children's developing nervous systems can be permanently damaged by arsenic exposure, and the effects may not become apparent until years later. Based on comprehensive research findings, 4 brands have maintained clean safety records with no major violations found in the 2023 to 2025 period. Simply Apple, by the Coca-Cola Company, has no FDA recalls, lawsuits, or major scandals found in recent years. They maintain clean manufacturing records with transparent sourcing and have their own quality control systems, rather than relying on contract manufacturers like Refresco. The Coca-Cola Company operates their own manufacturing facilities with established quality control procedures that include multiple testing stages. Their apple juice products are made from apples sourced from verified orchards with documented safety protocols. Simply Apple typically retails for $4.49 for a 59-ounce bottle, making it more expensive than store brands, but competitively priced with other national brands. The premium pricing reflects the cost of maintaining independent manufacturing and quality control systems. Tropicana apple juice by PepsiCo has no significant violations or controversies identified in the recent period. They maintain their own manufacturing facilities with established quality control procedures. PepsiCo's manufacturing standards include third-party audits and regular FDA inspections. Their apple juice products undergo multiple quality checks throughout the production process, including testing for heavy metals, pesticides, and microbial contamination. Tropicana apple juice typically retails for $3.99 for a 64-ounce bottle. While more expensive than store brands, the price reflects the cost of maintaining independent quality control systems and avoiding the risks associated with contract manufacturing. Welch's by Welch Foods Incorporated has no prominent legal actions or recalls found in 2023 to 2025. They've maintained consistent safety standards and have a long track record of quality control in the fruit juice industry. Welch's operates their own processing facilities and maintains direct relationships with fruit growers. This vertical integration allows them to control quality from the farm level through final packaging, reducing the risk of contamination that can occur in contract manufacturing situations. Welch's apple juice products typically retail for $3.49 for a 64-ounce bottle. The company's cooperative structure, owned by grape and fruit growers, creates incentives for maintaining high-quality standards throughout the supply chain. Honest Tea apple beverages by the Coca-Cola Company have a clean record for apple products specifically, with no FDA recalls involving apple juice or cider in 2023 to 2025. They maintain rigorous third-party testing and transparent sourcing practices. Honest Tea's organic certification requires additional quality control measures beyond standard FDA requirements. Their apple beverages are made from certified organic apples and undergo testing for both conventional contaminants and substances prohibited in organic production. The brand typically retails for $2.49 for 16.9-ounce bottles, making them more expensive per ounce than conventional brands, but competitive within the organic beverage category. Now let me give you the practical guidance you need to protect your family this Thanksgiving and beyond. When shopping for apple cider this Thanksgiving, the key lesson is understanding that store brand doesn't necessarily mean store manufactured. Multiple retail chains may be sourcing from the same facilities, so brand diversity on the shelf doesn't guarantee manufacturing diversity. Look for the manufacturer information on product labels, not just the brand name. Many products include manufacturer details in small print on the back or bottom of the package. If you see Refresco Beverages, U.S. Incorporated listed as the manufacturer, consider choosing a different product. Consider the total cost of ownership when comparing prices. While store brands may appear cheaper upfront, the potential health costs and risks associated with contaminated products make national brands with clean safety records a better value for your family's long-term health. The 4 safe alternatives I've identified, Simply Apple, Tropicana apple juice, Welch's, and Honest Tea, have maintained clean safety records because they control their own manufacturing or work with manufacturers who have transparent quality control processes. These brands invest in independent quality control systems, maintain direct relationships with suppliers, and have established track records of food safety compliance. While they may cost more upfront, they provide better value when you consider the health and safety benefits. For this Thanksgiving and beyond, remember that your family's safety is worth more than the money you might save on store brand products. The contamination pattern shows that the cheapest option isn't always the best value when it comes to your family's health. The food industry's problems don't stop with apple juice. They extend to every product in your grocery cart. Manufacturing consolidation affects everything from breakfast cereals to frozen dinners, creating hidden connections between brands that can amplify contamination risks. If this investigation opened your eyes to how manufacturing consolidation can hide contamination risks, you need to see what I've uncovered about other products you're probably buying right now. Check out one of the 2 videos on your screen now.